Good evening. Welcome to the Buck Stops Here. I'm Vishnu Shobh. On the program this evening, fresh data from the Centre for Science and Environment and the Delhi government showed that the odd and even scheme for alternate day car use in Delhi is showing some fairly important changes to air pollution in Delhi. Tonight we go through these findings point by point, and in doing so we ask this question: Delhi's odd even plan, is it time to be less cynical?
Perhaps the most remarkable thing about the odd-even experiment is that an estimated 98% of Delhiites have obeyed the odd-even rule, judging by the ratio of cars challaned. Many cynics had wrongly forecast a flagrant breaking of the odd-even rule, but now admit 98% compliance is surprisingly out of character for a city that is widely thought to be studded with lawbreakers.
I would say that compliance level has been very high, and today's figure has not come, but we have been able to challan only about 2,000 people.
And environmentalists, clearly thrilled about the success of the odd-even experiment, are most pleased with the awareness the odd-even rule has generated. Awareness about the high levels of pollution in the capital city, and awareness that each citizen has found a means to personally contribute something towards controlling pollution.
वेस्टर्न डिस्टर्बेंस के कारण मॉइस्चर लेवल बहुत है हवा के अंदर। इसका मतलब पोल्यूटेंट ट्रैप होते हैं, हवा नहीं है जिसको उसको डिस्पर्स कर सकती है, और तीसरी तरफ से ठंड है जिससे वो बैठता है। इस चीज के अंदर हम लोगों का, हमने जो कोर्ट के सामने आंकड़े रखे हैं, दिखाती है कि अगर ऑड एंड इवन फॉर्मूला नहीं होता दिल्ली में तो आज हम सब हॉस्पिटल में होते।
The odd-even rule has cut down the amount of traffic jams significantly. A journey which used to take 90 minutes is now taking 35 minutes, and the shorter time a car is on the road, the less it pollutes the air.
बहुत सारे लोगों का व्यू पॉइंट है कि इसको बढ़ाया जाए, क्योंकि इससे बहुत ही कंजेशन फ्री हो रहा है, लोगों को सुविधा मिल रही है, तो बढ़ाया जाए। लेकिन सरकार का ये डिसीजन है कि हम ना तो 7 दिन में कम खत्म कर रहे हैं, ना तो 15 तारीख के बढ़ा रहे हैं। हाँ। हम 15 दिन बाद इसको रिव्यू करेंगे, जो पहले से हमारा स्टैंड है, और उसके बाद फिर हम डिसीजन लेंगे।
According to analysts, it's still too early to talk about the pollution levels in Delhi. However, the traffic has definitely become smoother on Delhi roads. Let us see what does the future of Delhi hold after this 15-day trial period. In New Delhi, with camera person Divan Singh and bureau inputs, Rashmi Maan for NDTV.
So what we want to try and do today is go through a couple of the important points which have come out, been announced by the Delhi government, and this based on the CSE study. And then let's debate these points and see what lies in them. I'd like to introduce the panel. Dr. Sunita Narayan, Director for the Centre for Science and Environment, with us. R.K. Kapoor, the Supreme Court lawyer, with me in the studio. Saurabh Bhardwaj of the Aam Aadmi Party, Shazia Ilmi of the BJP, Sharmishta Mukherjee of the Congress. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. Let's bring up this first point. The CSE and Delhi government believe that the odd-even scheme has resulted in the lowest pollution peak compared to the previous high smog episodes this winter. So, Sunita, what exactly are you trying to say over here? Because people say that, look, it's still unbreathable. But what does this part of the data indicate to you?
Vishnu, what it shows very clearly is that we know winter is the time when pollution peaks in Delhi. We know this because that is the time when we all find the air is really foul and we cannot breathe. It is not as if the sources change. In summer or in monsoon, we have the same sources, but it is in winter that pollution peaks. But even within winter, there are days when the weather is so adverse that pollution levels really go up big time. And that is when, at this moment, there is absolutely no wind. Because of the western disturbance, you have very high levels of moisture in the air. And you have winter inversion. A combination of three things is deadly. Now, when we analyzed the data, we found that over November and December, when such similar conditions had prevailed in Delhi, even with lesser winter, lesser cold, the peaks were really high. Okay. You had 600, 700, 800, levels that were being reached. That's really bad for health.
Okay, all right.
And at this moment, the peaks are lower.
Okay. Mr. Kapoor, this is what the data indicates. The peaks are lower. It's still bad. Nobody is denying that. But isn't this an encouraging sign?
See, the question is not to what extent the encouragement would be there. The question is by causing so much public inconvenience. And see, the data which was produced before the court today, it indicated that of the PM 2.5, the maximum 38 pollution is caused by road dust and 20% pollution is caused by vehicles. And even in that 20%, about 60 to 90% pollution is caused by diesel vehicles. So, it means if we take up to 90%, it means petrol driven vehicles cause only 10% pollution. So, why odd or even for the petrol driven vehicles when they are causing only about 10% pollution?
I take your point. I will discuss the 2.5 numbers and diesel vehicles. We have got more graphics. But I just want to try and understand where you are coming from. You believe that public convenience needs to be prioritized?
No. See, I think what the government should do is it should analyze the figures that what is causing the maximum pollution. If you really want to pick up a particular class of vehicles like the private petrol driven vehicles, then do you think that by controlling such a the vehicles you are able to control the pollution?
Okay.
Because the percentage pollution has to be checked.
All right.
So, when they are causing only 10%, you stop diesel vehicles whether they are odd or even.
Okay, but that is an important point, and I think they have a reply to that as well. Let us bring out the next graphic on how there has been a drop in PM 2.5 that is generated by diesel engines also to a high extent during odd and even, and there has been also a corresponding drop in petrol engines. Let us have that graphic full screen and let me just try and explain that, and before I go back to Sunita. So, the bar on your left shows where it was earlier on before the scheme started, and the bar on your right shows that it has come down. Now, again, just to make this point absolutely clear, it is not as low as we want it to be. Nobody wants it to be this high still, but it is still an improvement. Therefore, the argument being raised is that let us not scrap odd and even because it is showing this trend. Now, Sunita, let me come back to you. Mr. Kapoor has an important point. Yes. How can we be sure about diesel car pollution actually coming down on the basis of these numbers?
Vishnu, the data is very clear, and I think Mr. Kapoor is making a valid point as well. We need to address all other sources of pollution, but we are. If you look at vehicles, there are three major categories within vehicles which cause pollution. 1 trucks, 2 two-wheelers and 3 cars. Now, as far as trucks is concerned, as you know, the Supreme Court has already come down very hard based on our report to court. It has agreed that trucks which are not destined for Delhi will be turned back. The environment compensation charge is now so high that actually deters any truck for thinking whether it should come to Delhi or find a bypass route.
Okay.
So, there is a 20% decline in trucks as well. As far as two-wheelers is concerned, we at CSA have always maintained that two-wheelers should have also been part of the odd and even scheme of the Delhi government. But we also recognize that we need a huge enhancement of public transport systems to make sure that when next time this scheme is enforced, that two-wheelers and cars are both off the road. But cars are part, just one last point, Vishnu, cars add to pollution in 3 ways. 1, because of the number of cars, 2, because of the congestion that cars cause and therefore the pollution, and 3, because of the toxicity of emissions that come from cars. So, all 3 factors make it very clear that odd and even imposed on cars is critical.
Okay, I am just going to bring up the next point brought up by CSE and then go across to Shazia of the BJP. The CSE says, the Centre for Science and Environment says, both particulate and nitrogen oxide loads from cars has reduced substantially during the odd and even program by as much as 40%. Now, NOx, NOx has gone down, particulate matter has gone down by 40%, right, during the odd and even program. So, yes, again, it's not ideal where it should be, but can you deny that this is an improvement, Shazia?
No, one cannot deny that this is an improvement, and I always stand for objectivity. And even where this is concerned, I think hugely at the where traffic goes, we definitely see a lot of improvement there. As far as pollution goes, and as somebody has mentioned earlier, Vehicular pollution is one, out in which 90 lakh cars, approximately 90 lakh vehicles, out of which 60 lakh, so to speak, are two-wheelers. They also need to be included. But that is not to say that whatever solution is being offered is complete, but definitely this is part of the solution, and this is welcome. We need to go further. And I think any measure taken by any government is good.
That's
and
a
I
great
think
statement,
everybody,
Shazia.
whether it's a Delhi traffic or a Delhi...
That's important. It's positive what you're saying.
Yeah, of course, because we have to be fair to ourselves. See,
Right.
Delhi, but having said that, Delhi traffic police, Delhi citizens, and unnecessary blame giving to centre also need to be acknowledged, and one must come together towards a solution and be objective and neutral about it.
Because unless we're objective, there can be no
and
solution.
public oriented.
Unless we're objective, there can be no solution. It's not a political issue.
Exactly.
The way it's being played out on Twitter is that it's a political issue, whereas by and large our political voices are raising concerns on the efficacy of the program, not because they want dirty air, they have questions on the program. I think that's what makes this a different debate from our other political screaming matches. Sharmishta, let me come to you next, and let me just go across to this next point that the CSE has raised. They are saying that, look, these results could even have been better, but there are certain hostile weather conditions at the moment. There's no wind, there's a temperature dip, there's a western disturbance, therefore peak pollution during the odd and even scheme could actually have been lower. It's not because of these factors. So whatever we are getting now is good because it could even have been higher. I think that's the central point. So would you therefore accept that this odd and even is absolutely imperative?
I would like to say, Vishnu, that I wouldn't like to get into the technicalities of it. But from the very beginning, we have said that, we welcome any measures, any steps to curb the pollution in Delhi. And if the pollution has come down to whatever extent, doesn't matter, if it has come down, which is always a welcome move. And also, a visible result, what we see is less congestion on the road, which is also welcome. But having said that, as Sunita ji has already raised this issue, that we have to have two-wheelers into the ambit of this program. Secondly, also in terms of commercial vehicles, especially cabs, because what lot of people are doing, they are not taking their own cars out, obviously because of this odd and even, but they are hiring taxis.
And
so
they're hiring radio taxis.
Of vehicles, in
because
that
taxis
sense,
are all CNG. It's radio cabs which are not.
But
this is an important point you raised. Mr. Kapoor has a point.
We have to have a large number.
The point was raised in the court also. The diesel vehicles which are in the form of taxi, they are also adding to the pollution. Therefore, if you are providing your odd or even car at home on odd or even days, but then you are employing taxi to use it, therefore the pollution cannot be controlled in such a manner unless all the taxis they are converted into a CNG or electricity vehicles.
Sunita, that's an important point. Would you like to come in on that point?
Yes, absolutely, Vishnu. I think it's a very important point. And let's be very clear, we've already taken this matter to Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has directed Ola, Uber and all taxis, not just in Delhi but entire NCR, to move to CNG by March 31st. So we are working very hard on it. We will make sure that happens. It's a very major move that will happen. So next time we have odd and even, we will also not have this problem.
So what numbers are we looking at, Sunita, just very briefly in terms of taxis which need to be converted by the 31st of March?
See, tomorrow we have called a meeting, Vishnu, to discuss this. The major problem we are finding is with Ola, Uber and other aggregators, because they have not been, they are working above the law.
Right.
And they have been saying to us that they will not convert their taxis outside Delhi. So we have got the court to give us a very clear order. The Supreme Court has reiterated its order and said that it is for entire NCR, all city cabs have to run only on CNG. And I must also tell you that the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas MOPNG is being very proactive. They are going out of their way to supply CNG across NCR.
Okay.
Vishnu, please recognize that there is no political difference on
Absolutely.
air pollution.
I
This
want to
is
add
very
one point of pooling.
important. Please understand that.
Yes, sir.
See, I want to add one point of pooling. You see, the Chief Minister of India has added a very good example to the citizens of especially Delhi, that even they are ready to have a carpooling. So, what I am suggesting is that when you say carpooling, then whether it is odd or even number. See, I will give you one example. Suppose on even day, there are even 100 vehicles on a road driven by one individual. Instead of that, suppose there are 25 vehicles carrying 4 passengers each, whether even or odd number, see, that will reduce pollution up to 25%.
But that's happening.
So, this should happen. See, what they say is, for example, there is one lady, she cannot carry male members. See, why they are not carrying, suppose they carry
Let me get an answer.
three male members, the pollution can be reduced.
100%. And the entire issue of exemption to women is one of the more debatable exemptions which have been given over here. Saurabh, would you like to come in on this one point? What, in your experience and the experience of civil defense workers and others, has been the success rate as far as people using one car, carpooling as it were? Is it a big success, Saurabh, so far?
I think,
Yeah, Saurabh, go ahead.
I experienced it,
Yeah.
and I'm sure, all the panelists, and I'm so glad, and that, I'm so touched to see the humility of Shazia and, Sharmistha. They have all been supporting this move, and it's a really good opportunity for all political parties to, work for a cause. And as we can see, it's on the roads also. But there is less congestion. People can travel those distances which they used to travel.
No, but Saurabh, carpooling. How is it working, Saurabh? Is carpooling working? What more needs to be done? Because without carpooling, it's going to be a real problem.
Well, I must admit that carpooling is still not, still not that organized. The carpooling is still working on the basis of your vicinity, or someone, or your neighbor or something. I think we need to get more aggregators, more applications, and people should be more friendly towards these new ideas, because we have a different kind of a society, and we are slowly becoming conversant with these things like carpooling. So it will need a kind of a cultural change, a mental shift, but I think it will come.
Okay.
This is the first step, and like Mr. Harish Salve said it in the court today, it's not a question of A or B or C. It's a question of we have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, all of them. And the government is committed to take up all these steps. The only thing is, this is one of the steps which is taken in times of emergencies, and the government will be taking up other steps also.
Saurabh, will you extend this beyond these 2 weeks?
In the court, the government said that it may increase for third week.
Yes.
But other than that, there is no such intention.
But with the opening of the schools, I don't think it won't be possible, because schools will open after 15
That's an
days.
important point. Will you sort of have more buses on the roads, because school buses need to come back? How will you do that third week?
That won't be possible.
Yes, because we hardly got any buses from the schools. That's why we are saying that the government is not considering to increase it beyond 3 weeks, and the third week is also very it's not final at all. We said that we may do it, so but there is hardly any probability of increasing it to the third week also, as of today, what I can say.
What about two-wheelers? You've said that you're going to bring it into the ambit.
Yes, the government is considering. They are just measuring the trade-offs.
What are the trade-offs? The trade-off is good health.
No, the trade-off is, do we have enough capacity in our public transport system that we can manage two-wheelers, at least half of the two-wheelers on our public transport system?
And what's the answer to that? At the moment, you don't have that capacity.
The government is analyzing it, but in the first look, it looks like government doesn't have that capacity.
But they are causing maximum pollution. The maximum pollution is caused by two-wheelers, so they have to find out a solution for that also.
Absolutely, I can't agree more.
I think this.
Yes.
I think this point was also raised.
Shazia, I'll come to you in 10 seconds. I'll just come to you next, Shazia. Yes, Saurabh, just finish that point.
yes, the government is working to build up the capacity in the public transport, and definitely it's a yes that we will bring two-wheelers very soon in its ambit, but yes, government wants to be prepared.
Shazia, you had a point, and Sharmishta as well. I'll come to you after that. Shazia quickly, and then Sharmishta. Yes.
Just 2 points. So 18% of the vehicular pollution problem has been addressed by having this scheme on road underway. But let's also look at, like you mentioned, two-wheelers. But I would also like to ask Saurabh as to what is being done about road dust, construction dust, which is actually the biggest contributor. One, and two, I met a lot of senior citizens. Oh, some of them have to travel, go to hospitals, a lot of retired servicemen, and 3 complaints. I mean, because some people know me, they came to me. I would really be happy if women, I don't know, able-bodied, regular women could give up some of their special privilege that they get, but also it to be extended to senior citizens who often have one car.
Shazia, running out of time, I want an answer to that question.
Have 2 cars and can have driver.
Yes. You've did lots of questions. Road dust first. Very briefly, sort of, what are you doing about road dust? It's the highest polluter.
A very important point. The government has committed that from April 2016 we will start working with vacuum cleaners across the roads.
Anything before that?
In the meantime, yes.
No, we are in the process of procuring machines, and it's a tedious process.
In the meantime, they should water to see for that dust and then clean it.
It's a commonsensical solution. Why aren't you doing that in the interim period? Road dust.
Delhi as a state is not a water surplus state where we can use water. Yes, definitely it was one of the solutions, but it was not found feasible.
Okay, I want to go through the last 2 points over here because I need to wrap this up in just 2 minutes. Now, the CSE report quotes a Kanpur IIT report that says that in different locations in Delhi, diesel vehicles contribute massively to PM 2.5. That is what is most dangerous to us. From 60 to 90% of PM 2.5 comes from diesel vehicles. That's a huge concern, but there has been a huge development. Just yesterday, I believe, the government announcing that we're going to be shifting to Euro 6 in 2020. Sunita, just in one sentence, what percentage drop will we see in air pollution once we move from Euro 4 to Euro 6?
Tremendous, big, and I think this is a big game changer, and I think again it only emphasizes that air pollution is a pan-political issue. This Ministry of Surface Transport, Environment as well as MOPNG, the union government has taken a very bold step, very big step, and by moving to Euro 6, for the first time you will have diesel emissions being as low as petrol. You will get an 80 to 90% reduction in emissions from heavy vehicles when you move to Euro 6. Very big, and I think we have to acknowledge this is something that we have done big time.
I am out of time. Just I'm completely out of time, sir.
Adulteration should be controlled.
Adulteration has to be controlled. Once, I mean, there's no two ways about it. Sharmishta, you had a point to make, but I think you were also referring to travel time being visibly improved.
I'll just quickly tell, I would like to make a suggestion or a request to Saurabh Bhardwaj ji that if you, in case you plan to extend this, just rethink about your rules about women driving without male passenger, because that way you are effectively keeping the woman out of the ambit of carpooling. And also this, 12-year and more than 12-year, you can't drive with a child of
how do you tell the difference between a 12 and a 13-year-old?
Weird. Either you keep the woman.
Point
I
taken.
think you should get rid of
12
the
and a
exemption
13-year-old, and
for
also
women.
secondly, if a woman has to take 2 children together, so she just can't take the 12-year-old and ask the 13-year-old to
That's
follow
a bit
on
unfair.
her own.
That's a bit unfair on the children. Okay, out of time completely. One last statistic. We'll end this. It's very good. Everybody will be happy about this. The CSE study says traffic volume, right? It's a study done by the School of Planning and Architecture. It figures in the CSE report during the first few days, shows a lowering of travel time. This is what a lot of people have noticed. Here is the number, 35% improvement. 35% improvement.
Because schools are closed.
And that has a great deal to do with compliance of Delhiites, which is absolutely unbelievable. We leave you now with this portrait of our week. Do stay tuned.
Very civilian. Portrait photography competition for amateurs. Portrait of the week. reopen.